Hey, check, dig, you dig. Okay, so it's KB again, aka Ryan. It's getting a little warmer out, so I don't know. I felt some kind of way today. I uh, I started working out yesterday for the first time in a long time, and yeah, so I'm sore. I can barely walk up and down stairs, and I didn't do that many squats. I started off weighted, but the weight went down to the ground. And I just did some body weight and some push-ups. So enough about me. Today is step 4. Let's do step 4 and give people a simplified version. You can find this in the book um, uh, and follow that direction. But I'll go ahead and give you an idea of what each step is. And today's step 4. So step 4 is made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Yeah, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Sorry, the drugs have done a number on my brain. So, searching, that's where it's what are we gonna do on a scavenger hunt? We're gonna search for the items that are on our list that we need to find, and it's similar to the same thing. We're gonna search within ourselves the things we need to find that we need healing from, that we need to discover about ourselves to get that daily reprieve or that daily relief of our alcoholism or our addiction. Excuse me. And and fearless. So we need to go into this thing fearless. It suggests in the book that we do a step 4, that we do this inventory on ourselves. As if we're not going to share it in step 5, because step 5, that's what it is. We're sharing it with God, another human being. And so our step 4 needs to be, we need to adopt the mentality that we are not going to share this. So we need to be fearless about it. It also says that we need to look under every rock or in every little nook and cranny, every little crevice of ourselves. And this one, I know the scripture that's attached to it, and it's James 2:7, 1:7. Maybe I'm wrong. I struggle with that, but it's confess our sins to each other so we can be healed. Now, if you look back in history, in any spiritual sect or cult or you know anything that has a god or anything like that, they find spiritual value in confessing your wrongs to another human being. It's easy to confess it to God. It's easy. It's just you and God. But when you have to give it to your brother or someone that you can confide in, that's a little harder. And and you know, I'll just give you an example of that. I used to own a sales office, very brief. Drugs took it away from me. And when in the morning when we would do our sales impact meetings, it was hard to pitch your coworker the items we were going to sell that day because you knew that person, and there was some type of embarrassment there and like nervousness where you didn't, when you went out in public, that was easy. You didn't know these people. You were in their door for a couple minutes and you could walk away from them. But it was harder to sit down and pitch people that you knew, and it's hard to sit down and 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 spew out the things that are wrong with you to another person. So in step 4, we're going to take a look at our fears. You're going to make a fears list, and this is pretty easy to do. You sit down until the pen in your mind stops moving, however long it takes. For me, it took an hour and a half, maybe a couple hours, to write down all my fears, and my list was about 40 to 50. Things were on there like I'm afraid of spiders. I'm afraid of heights. I was afraid of open spaces. Still am a little bit. I struggle with that. Um, I'm afraid of my children growing up without me. I'm afraid of death because of my addiction. These are the fears you're going to write down. Then in the book, it suggests that we make a list of the people we harmed. We make on that list, we make a column. We make columns, the people we have harmed. what role we played, what affected, what did we do? What was the cause of that harm? And we write what it affected. Um, or we write the role we played. Were we selfish? Did it affect our finances? Um, sorry. Let me back up. Okay, so we make a list of our resentments. Okay, I'm sorry. We make a list of our resentments, and a lot of people are going to be on this list. So what did they do to us? And then the other category is what it affected in us. Did it affect our self-esteem? Did it affect our pocketbooks? Did it affect our relationships? Okay, these are things we're going to look at. Now I want you to go to the book to get the complete layout and template for this. And so then you're going to make your list of people you have harmed and how you harmed them and what role you played in it, okay? And then if you need to, if your sex inventory is pretty large, you might want to make your sex inventory separate. Okay, so this is what step forward is. You are literally taking action to write down these things. And again, you're going to do this as if you're not going to share it with anyone. So we want you to be fearless on this. And we want you to look at everything. And a good way to know when you're finished is when your mind just runs out of things. And there might be some things that you remember. And you can share them later on. Or maybe there's something that you do not wish to reveal, okay? And how you can kind of take care of this is that you come to God, however long it takes, in prayer, and you say, God, give me the willingness to share this. Maybe you were abused as a child, or you were raped as a young woman, as a young man, as a young boy, as a young girl. And you were abused, and that's something very hard, I know, for a lot of people to share. And you just pray for the willingness to be able to share that. There's going to be relief in it. There's going to be someone that can relate. There's going to be someone you can help by sharing it, and ultimately you're going to be relieved of that. It's about getting that trash out of there, and those things that are rooted deep in there. Maybe you don't feel worthy of a man or a woman because of this abuse. Think about how God sees you. Think about that. He doesn't see you as a person that was abused. He doesn't. He sees you as his child, and he loves you no matter what. So think about that if there's something that you're too afraid to reveal. All right, I'm getting a little chilly. Okay, so back to step 4. There's really not too much about this. You're putting things on paper. And one thing I always say is that you think of it. Okay, you think of the things you're putting down on paper. You write it down. You're going to naturally read it back to yourself. So that's 3 times you've, 1, thought of it. 2, wrote it down. 3, you're going to read it. And then 4, when you take a step 5 and you reveal it, that is 4 times you've looked at these things. So go back to school, and your teacher might have had you write your spelling words out. 10 times a piece, 10 spelling words. Well, that's why. It's that repetition. So you get to see it, and now you're aware. And that's part of that spiritual awakening that it talks about in step 12. It says, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, So your spirit is going to be awakened along the way. The book describes it as sunlight, okay? And it's talking about the sunlight of God, the Spirit of God, getting closer to God. So as you take this process through the steps, it's wanting you to be filled up a little bit more and more with this sunlight, with this Spirit of God as you grow closer through this process, right? And so by step 12, your cup or your spirit should be so filled with this sunlight of God that it's overflowing. And that's what step 12 is about. You keep what you have by giving it away. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to practice these principles in all of our, or we try to carry the message to other alcoholics or addicts and practice these principles in all of our affairs. So we're going to be so filled up with this message. We're going to be so filled up with God. And what does God want us to do? He wants us to serve others, love thy neighbor. And so as this process goes along, you'll be filled up with that. And by the time you hit 12, when the opportunity presents itself, you'll be able to carry the message. And you'll be able to help the next person because you remember in the Bible, that there was someone that wanted that thorn removed. He said, God, remove this thorn from my side. And it wasn't removed. Why? Why wasn't it removed? Because someone's going to come along and have that same thorn in their side. They're going to have that same addiction. They're going to have similar stories. And you're going to be able to help them because of your story or your testimony and your knowledge of recovery. So you can point them towards the same steps you took to gain that personal relationship with God who can ultimately solve your problem. All right, so step 4 is short. You're just writing down things and you're being searching and fearless about it. All right, that's really it. That's all I got for today. I love you guys. Deuces.